Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my first attempt at a Warhammer Tactics video. This should hopefully be the first in a long series of videos, so if you like it, let me know in the comments section and I'll do more. So today, as you can see from this picture here, we have Space Marine Devastators. And these are a unit that you don't see all that often in Space Marine armies these days. And if you look here at the build, you'll see it's not the most common build that you see. I've got 4 missile launchers on here. Now, normally these days, Space Marine players will take Centurions, particularly the grab cannon Centurions, over Devastators as their sort of heavy support infantry choice. But I'm going to tell you today why I like Devastators and why I like this particular loadout. Now, this isn't to say that Centurions are a bad option. They're not. They're a really good option. And it's not to say that the other builds for Devastators are bad. You know, there are some good solid builds out there. You see people running 4 las cannons or mixture of las and plas and split them down into combat squads so they can do multiple jobs. Or one that's sort of emerging now is 4 grav cannons coming out of a drop pod to, do something completely different that Devastators are never going to do anymore, and that's really use them in attack. But I'm going to talk about my good old 4 missile launchers with my Devastators here. So why am I running Devastators? Well, the first thing is they are a really good option for using in your Demi Company, Space Marine Demi Company, the new formation from the Codex. Like running the Demi Company, gives you some nice little bonuses. It's the basis of the Gladiator Strike Force. Also a good fluffy way to play Space Marines. And yes, you can take Centurions in that, but they are really expensive. Minimum squad of Centurions will come up around 250 points once you give them the common upgrades, whereas these guys at most are going to cost you 170. So that's the first thing. They are cheap unit, relatively speaking, for Space Marines. Second thing is the versatility that the missile launchers give you. I tend to run my missile launchers with the flak missile upgrade. So the first thing is it gives me some really good options for taking out enemy flyers. Now, flyers are not something you see all the time, but when they come along, you're going to need to deal with them. There's some really nasty flyers out there. Eldar Crimson Hunter, Space Marine Storm Talon, and you still got the Necron Flying Croissant. What's that thing called? The Night Side. It's a really solid flyer option as well. So you're going to want to deal with these flyers. With Space Marines, yeah, you can take the Stalker tank. It's only 75 points, but it is only effective against flyers and skimmers. Anything else, it's snap firing. So if your opponent doesn't bring flyers or skimmers, then it's a waste of points. Whereas these guys, with the missiles, they can take out the flyers, but if flyers don't turn up, then you've got the crack missiles and the frag missile options as well. And they can deal with all sorts of things. Crack missile is great for taking out transports, infantry with a 3++ save, and monsters. That's the other thing I really like. These guys work well as insurance against monsters. 4 crack missiles go into say a Carnifex, that's or a greater demon on foot, like a great unclean one, or a what's that thing called? Keeper of Secrets. Put the crack missiles into them, you're taking off multiple wounds, which is just what you need against those multiple wound, high toughness targets. Not so good against a Tau Riptide. The 2+ save there will give you some difficulties, but if you anticipate facing a Riptide, then there are other ways to deal with it. They also have the flexibility to deal with infantry. Those frag missiles, putting down 4 small templates at strength 4, that's going to make a mess of things like orcs, mids, cultists, all that sort of stuff. These guys will make a nice dent on that. Basically, whatever you're facing, unless you're going up against an army of multiple AV-14 vehicles, then yeah, they are really good solid choice. Now, how do you want to play these guys? Obviously, the Devastators, they've got heavy weapons, means you don't want to be moving them because they'll be going to snap firing if they move. So you want something like this. Got a building here. This would be towards the back of the table, ideally with good line of sight. If you haven't got building, forest on a hill, crater, something to give them some cover so they're not going to want to move all game, and somewhere with a good line of sight across the board. Because, if they're tucked away in a corner, can't see anything, they're not going to do anything. Now, you may see down here, got a little objective marker. This is the reason I really like taking them in the the Demi company. These guys gain objectives secured. Now, if you can place them on an objective, every time you draw that card as your objective, if you're playing the Maelstrom missions, they're going to score it. And with objectives secured, the only way your opponent can stop them is to kill them all or get another troops unit over to there. Now, if this objective's in the back lines, as where your Devastators should be, you don't want them towards the front of your deployment zone, ideally. That's going to, be a genuine hassle for your opponent to deal with. 9 times out of 10, if that's an objective you need to claim, you're going to score it for having these guys on there. Other things, having them in something like this gives them a bit of protection. Yeah, they've got the 3+ armor, toughness 4, they're solid enough. But once your opponent sees what these can do, or if he knows, that those missiles are going to be a threat to something he's planning to use, he's going to try and take them down. So, trying to keep them out of the way where they don't look threatening and they look hard to get to can, help to keep them alive a little bit longer. That's about it for Devastators. A pretty simple unit to use. Like I said, there are other ways to run them. Personally, I find this works well for me. It fits in well with what else I've got in my list. And yeah, that's my Space Marine Devastators. So hope you like this video. If you've got any other comments about Devastators, then feel free to put them in the comments. And if you like this video, then like or subscribe. Thanks a lot. Bye.